Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Underhood Show presented by Mel Hambelton Ford. Hey, my name's Phil Nightingale. I'm the general manager, and Josh Pruffin, our service director. Morning, Josh.
Good morning.
Hey, beautiful Saturday morning out there after Black Friday. Wild and crazy here at the dealership yesterday morning. I don't know. Did we count up how many people we had, how many tags we handed out?
I'm going to say that there was, I'm going to say 650 people from that side of things.
So great turnout for the cars, $1,000 and under. And, like we've talked about already, those are probably the best 10 cars we've ever had for a Black Friday event. And so a lot of great people got some great vehicles and stuff full of lots of value and everything else. It was fun to watch that go down. But you think 650 we had here? Huh?
Yeah, I'm going to say there was probably 650 people here. I didn't see it, seen kind of the handing out the tags and making sure everybody was getting drawn and part of the crowd, but I didn't see the other side of it as far as what vehicle went when and stuff like that. So you'll have to kind of give me a rundown of how that went and everything like that. But surprisingly, I don't think the $99 car went pretty early in the deal from that side of it too. So
usually it's one of the last ones to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I put the cars in line again how I always done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 99 car went, I believe, fourth. And it was kind of funny. The top, the $8.99 and $7.99. No, it was $7.99 and $6.99 were the last two to go. No, I'm wrong again. It was $5.99 and $6.99 were the last two to go from that part. So that Denali Yukon was pretty cool, and then
the truck went pretty early.
The F-150 was first.
It was the first one out of the deal, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was the first one to go and stuff too. So so check out our Facebook page for all the pictures and stuff. A lot of things posted. I'm sure we'll post some more up Monday on different things we did. But then we came inside and gave away a bunch of prizes too, and lots of cash went out of that deal. So if you missed our Black Friday, it's your own fault. You should have been here because it was a lot of fun and exciting and a great crowd. And then, of course, yesterday, everybody that bought a vehicle got a prize, and we had all kinds of stuff in here. As you see, there's still some TVs in here, Josh. And we got some ideas of what we're going to do with those TVs and stuff, too. But we gave away gaming systems, all kinds of stuff, and a lot of fun all day long. And then how did everything go over in Quick Lane for the first 10 customers over there?
Yeah, so we gave the first 10 oil changes were $1.99, and it didn't take long, and they were gone. Quick Lane yesterday, historically, you see Quick Lane be a little bit slower at the start of the morning. Everybody's just kind of waking up or cleaning up for Christmas or for Thanksgiving or out doing other Black Friday shopping. But man, they hit the ground running yesterday morning, and it just didn't stop all day long. So
well, I'm going to say coming to work yesterday was more traffic than I've probably seen for about that early in the morning and stuff too. Coming, down 235 at 6 o'clock. There was 6 a.m. There was a lot of people there coming out and stuff. So it's exciting to see everybody out and about and having fun with Black Friday. And what do you call today? Black Saturday?
So the sleep in and catch up day, I guess. Maybe.
I wish that was true. Let me tell you, it was pretty hard getting up this morning. From that part. So anyway, yesterday afternoon, so we got through yesterday pretty good and sold a lot of cars and everything else too. And then we had the corral cars over there. We put 50 cars in the corral and gave $5,000 off of those cars. And no, I did not go in and mark them up and do anything stupid like that. It's still, those vehicles were exactly what they were priced, and got $5,000. We sold 18 out of that 50 yesterday that people got $5,000. I need to find out the stats of how many people, because you had a choice. You could take the $5,000 as a check, or you put it down towards the car. You need to get the stats on that and see how many people actually took the $5,000 or how many people put the $5,000 down towards their vehicle purchase or whatever. But some great exciting values there also. And that's one thing about Black Friday here at Mel Hambelton Ford. It's a true Black Friday, great values, great things and stuff like that too. So from that part, 316-462-3673. Hey, anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, or you want to talk about Black Friday, want to talk about new products, whatever it might be, we're here to answer your questions and give you a great price package valued over $130 for each and every caller. As always, Josh, what's in that price package valued over $130?
So we're going to mail it out to you, but it's going to consist of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Mel Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that, we're also going to complete a multi-point inspection, checking over that vehicle, all the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components. You'll also get yourself complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer. You're going to get $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the big corner. And then you'll also receive a BG products package, which is going to consist of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then CF5 for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. So I think what we need to do, let's try this today. Right. So it's $130 value in this package here.
Yep.
I would substitute the package for $130 towards a service. So we'd give them like a gift card. One of the gift cards for $130
instead of everything is included in the package. Just $130.
$130. So if you need a mechanical repair or you want to buy a part or something like that, it'd just be a gift card to Mel Hambelton Ford for $130.
All right, let's get the callers going. Let's see who wants to have the price package or would like to have $130 towards.
I mean, that could go towards a Traxxas car. That could go towards
anything in the racing stuff too. Yeah.
Everything that we got here. So we'll give that a shot here.
There you go. So we got the $130 package or $130 towards anything here inside Mel Hambelton Ford and Mel Hambelton Racing from that part. So 316-462-3673. That's the number that dials right in the main front desk to tell the gals you want to get patched in the podcast. We'll get you patched in here and see what you got. So anyway, Josh, another thing we did on Black Friday was after we announced what we do, we take all the salespeople in and they get to put a card in the bucket and they get to draw for
who sells the
first 10.
Yep.
Yeah. So after we got those first 10 done, we had another little surprise for the salespeople, and we had the 21 Lightning Pro, or the 22 Lightning Pro. We had the 21 Bronco demo that we've put the lift kit on and wheels and tires and all the accessories, and then we had the 22 Maverick Hybrid, which is the most sought out after hybrid. I mean, Maverick there is the hybrid demo. And we put them for sale. We were going to keep them for a little longer. And me and Lisa got together and said, you know what, let's sell them. Well, those things were gone. All three of them were gone before 8:30.
Yeah.
So that was also kind of fun. Some good people got some great cars there and stuff too on those three vehicles. So lots of exciting stuff here at Mel Hambelton Ford Black Friday. You don't want to miss it next year. So make plans to be out here because I'm sure Lisa's going to blow it up even bigger and better next year from that part too. So
yeah, every year that's something that's definitely grown for sure. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of excitement to see some of those winners. And when you can buy a car for $99 or even a $991, a $999 car, it's definitely a lot of excitement for sure.
Well, and I had the minimum I had, it was 40. I looked at it, it's $4,100 that we owned the cheapest car out there from that part. And the highest was $6,800 that we had in those cars to sell them from that standpoint. We had one.
This is something when you start this deal, October,
we do.
Maybe even a little earlier than that, as far as hand selecting these things. And I can't tell you how many that went through the shop and didn't make the cut to be a $99 car.
We had quite a few that didn't make it. That's for sure. So anyway, hey, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673, either the $130 package or $130 towards anything inside here at Mel Hambelton Ford. Anyway, I wish Nick and I and Jake flew up to Lincoln, Nebraska yesterday. Left here about 3 o'clock and went up to the meet and greet for the IMCA banquet, which is a lot of fun. We went and met up there at the Speedway Museum. And any of you race fans, I'm telling you that if you need something very cool to do, is you've got to run up to Lincoln, Nebraska, and you've got to see that Speedway Museum.
Yeah.
It's 3 levels right now. And, Josh, they just are about ready to give the keys over to a 90,000 square foot addition to the museum.
Oh, wow.
And remember, our warehouse over there is 50,000. This is 90,000.
Wow.
So they think by this time next year they'll have it open and running because it's going to take that long to fill it and do everything else like that. They have, I remember when you and I went through it back 3 years ago, they had this machine shop area. That's coming out of the museum, and that's going over into another building too. So that's even going to give the museum that much more room to do things and stuff. But Jake and I, Nick, walked through the 3 levels, and just there's so much history there, and it's so much cool. I mean, I can't tell you.
I was impressed when we were up there, but I'm sure they've done some more.
So much has changed, and so then after we got done kind of just walking through pretty fast, not really doing anything, we went downstairs, ran into Greg Nickel, who's one of the big higher ups at Speedway, and talked to him for a little while. And he said, well, why not just give you another tour? And Greg, I'm telling you, he knows more about these cars and the history of the cars, and to hear the history and all that kind of stuff is very cool. And then they've got I text a picture of Jim Petty of his dad. It was in that big fiery crash over at the fairgrounds.
Yep.
They've got a big display of that there. there in the museum and stuff for Mr. Petty and stuff too. That I tell you, those pictures are frightening, to be honest with you, from that standpoint. But if you're looking for something to do and really need something that's very cool, if you're even close to Lincoln, Nebraska, you need to stop and go by that museum. I mean, there's everything from Indy cars to sprint cars to.
And it doesn't matter what kind of racing.
Oh yeah,
just even automotive in general. I mean, just I don't know. I was very impressed with it when we went up there.
Yeah, they've got a deal too where they went back and restored different guys' shops. They've got the one guy in there from the 40s, and they went in and I mean, it's down to the actual metal filings on the valve grinder in the grinder machine. The metal filings are just like it was when it left. It took over. I said over 800 pictures and stuff to recreate that.
Yeah.
And then they've got the, I believe it's from the 30s, and it's like a back half of a truck, and then the race car's up on the back of the truck, and it's just like he left it. And that's what the deal was when they bought this display. The family said you can't restore it, you can't do anything, you got to put it on display just like it was. And I mean, it looks like he did. He just got done racing that night, rolled in, parked it, drove it up on the rack. And what's funny about it was on the left side of the car, there was two tracks because the right side, the right rear was wider than the left front, and drove it up on the truck from that part too. But I'm telling you, there's so much history in there of all the stuff from the sprint cars, the older sprint cars, the super modifieds. They've even got drag racing. I don't remember that being that big of a display when we were up there 3 years ago, but they've got a huge display and all the drag racing and all that kind of stuff too up there. That's
was that close to the Ricky Bobby fire suit? Maybe that's why
I walked by that again. Yeah, I did. I didn't take a picture though.
Didn't give me another picture.
Thought about it, but I said, yeah, I don't need to kick any more crap off that deal. I will tell you about everybody that did walk by it did take a picture.
Took a picture
yes,
of
they
it,
did.
Yeah.
And I heard a few comments going over there what the hell they were, but I'm sure there's quotes from the movie or something too. Hey, let's do that. How about your favorite quote from the what's the name of that movie again?
Talladega Nights.
Yeah,
it was on again the other day, and I thought of you when
I bet you did too.
Yeah, I'm sure you were watching it.
Yeah,
so.
Not. So just a little story here about Talladega Nights is I was over at my buddy Todd Brown's house one night. I don't know, it's probably 3 or 4 couples of us, and it was a movie come on. I don't know, maybe it was right when it come out too.
It was probably pretty early when it come out, if I had to guess.
And when Ricky Bobby won that race going backwards, Todd Brown looks over at me and goes, "Boy, we just lost Phil." And I said, "Yeah, you sure did." And stuff too. So, and nobody around this dealership believes that I've never sat down and watched that movie from start to finish. Never have. And I don't know that I'll ever take the time to sit down and watch that all the way through from that part. So anyway, your favorite or funniest Talladega Nights quote, 316-462-3673, either the $130 package or $130 towards anything here at Mel Hambelton Racing services, anything you want to spend on accessories or in a parts store or whatever. Take your pick, whichever way you want. Favorite Talladega Nights quote, statement, funniest thing they did or whatever. Let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. So anyway, yeah, there was back to the IMCA deal last night. It was really great to have all of our Hoosier dealers up there together, and because we're the distributor for Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, and to meet all those guys. And it's been a long time since we've seen some of them because of the travel times and all that kind of stuff too. But met a lot of racers too and everything else too. So tonight we go back again and for the actual awards banquet, which will be fun and exciting tonight too for the awards and all that kind of stuff too.
So do you? Is it back at the museum this evening?
No, it's at. Golly, where's that at? I think it's at a hotel. I'm not sure, but I also thought it was since the University of Nebraska was there, was somewhere on their campus, but I can't remember now where we actually go for the actual banquet tonight from that part too. So Nick, I'm sure, has got that dialed in.
Well, that'll be exciting to get up there and see that. That museum definitely is impressive. I know when we got back, I texted several people like, man, to tell somebody to go to Lincoln, Nebraska for something, but it's definitely worth the journey for sure. And it's really any kind of racing. And, the thing that I was just looking at the most is maybe more so how dangerous racing was years ago, just the advancement in safety and over the years from that side of things. Not, the cars are definitely faster, but just how much safer it is.
Oh, they've got different, areas where the videos are playing and showing wrecks and that kind of thing. And in that display for Mr. Petty over there, Bill Smith, who ran Speedway, he actually got in a Simpson fire suit and lit himself on fire. and that fire suit is there. Then there's another display of all the different helmets and how they evolved. And I mean, yeah, first helmets, they weren't saving nothing. I mean,
cooking pot
might have took some heat off from the sun from your head or whatever from that part, but that's not okay. Nick Ballman, this is not a deal that you get to put on the chat line here. It sounds to me like you slept in a little bit too, Ballman. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I can't remember. That's for sure. I should probably put that up on the screen. Yeah, let's see how we do that. Okay, here's Nick Ballman's favorite quote from, what's that show called again?
Oh, come on now.
Talladega Nights. Here it is. There's Mr. Nick Ballman's fun quote from Talladega Nights. So let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. What's your favorite Talladega Nights quote, statement, whatever funny thing they did in that show? And you get your prize package valued over $130 for each and every caller. Whichever works best for you first, the $130 for the prize package or $130 for anything inside Mel Hambelton Ford.
So what's yours?
I don't have one. Nice try.
They're all good. You can't pick a favorite.
Yeah. I know you don't believe me, Josh, but that's just how it is. It's the truth. I can't lie.
Yeah.
I just can't lie. So anyway, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. Love to hear from you. And Nick Ballman slept in. Well, that must be nice. Sleeping in. So anyway, so more back at that museum. I'm just still telling you, I'm blown away. And I can't wait to see what that 90,000 square foot deal is like next year when we go up there again, and how much they've changed and what they put into that museum and stuff. And I guess there's rooms and just rooms of stuff that they just yet to have on display.
Oh, they just run out of.
I think they've run out of room, and I think they rotate things in and out. The other thing I didn't know too is
floor space.
There is a lot of vehicles up there and stuff that's on loan. From that part, and some of them are on just a permanent loan. Because I'm sure people need some place to store, and where a better place to store your hot rods and stuff up there
for people to be able to see it and stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, morning, James Furman. Wants to know how Black Friday was. James had a great Black Friday out here at Mel Ford. Sorry you missed it. Didn't see you out. Or maybe you was out here and just didn't see you.
Hey, I got a couple texts from 2 or 3 people of, hey, how many people were there? Seemed like a lot of people. I'm sorry, I didn't even see you here. So from that side, so it was definitely drew a pretty big crowd for sure. So a lot of fun.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, once again, for those of you just tuning in, it's a $130 price package for each and every caller, or $130 towards anything inside Mel Hambelton Ford. You can spend $130. Just let us know which one you want. And again, anything in your car, want to talk about anything in racing, whatever, or you want to talk about what is your favorite quote from Talladega Nights. And get the phones ringing, 316-462-3673.
So we've got this next week coming up. Got a pretty busy week here, getting ready for PRI as well. So and then have the Hoosier meetings as well. So definitely going to be a pretty busy week here, but going to be exciting to get to PRI and see what all's happening there, and get our display ready to go for up there. So as well, got a lot going on, man. You turn the corner. I cannot believe we're already into December now, and
crazy.
Weather's I'm afraid to say it, but is definitely starting to change a little bit more for sure on that side of things too.
Yep. So anyway, so let's see. We had our last GT 500 show up Wednesday afternoon, and it left here yesterday too.
It was sold when it got here, right?
No.
It was
not. That car was, they gave us one extra more car than I thought I was going to get. And so I had about a 10-minute window to put an order in. So I built the order, and I didn't really tell anybody about it, because I kind of wanted to see what it would do and everything else in that part. Had a lot of people out of state trying to buy that car. And as for all of you know that when we have our specialty cars or whatever, I want our customers in our area to be able to get the opportunity to purchase those specialty cars, from the GT500s, the Raptors, the Shelby's, all that kind of thing. We always give you a little bit of time for our database to be able to participate in that situation. And I had a couple of people get angry with me because I wouldn't sell it out of state and stuff like that. And sorry, not going to. We're one of the few dealers out there that actually sells our cars at MSRP. We're not marking them up like everybody does. I'm hearing that people are getting $50,000 and $60,000 over MSRP for those vehicles, and I'm not going to do it. From that part, I want to keep the value in those cars and stuff, but that's also where we keep them local. But that is what it is. So I don't know who bought the car. I was gone yesterday when that happened in that part. So congratulations. I don't know who got that car, but I can tell you it's whoever got it got very lucky.
Yeah.
I can promise you that.
To be able to stumble across it and it be available and everything like that, and that not be pre-sold is a pretty huge deal for sure.
Okay, we got a caller coming in.
Yeah, we do. We've got Dick on the line. Dick, go ahead. You're live with Under the Hood.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
So I don't watch movies too much, so I don't know anything about Talladega Nights. But I had a question about my wife's F-150. It's a 2003. And she's noticed that periodically when she starts it up, gets a blue puff of smoke. And it's not every time. And I don't really have it narrowed down to if it's a cold startup or warm startup or, when exactly it's happening. But I was driving the truck a couple of days ago and noticed it after I drove it, about a half hour. Then I parked for a couple hours and started it up and puffs, and then it seems to be fine.
So how many miles do you have on the truck roughly?
I'm thinking 215 or 20.
So
like that.
A couple of questions I would have. Do you know, does it burn oil at all? As far as like, are you having to add oil in between oil changes or anything like that?
We don't add oil, but I know that I have added oil in the past.
Yeah.
But typically we don't put enough miles on it between oil changes, and we bring it into you guys, and no one's ever mentioned that the oil's low.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one time when she loaned it out, and they're putting quite a few more miles on it. When we checked it, it was down.
It was down lower. Yeah. So a couple of things could be going on. One of them that I would say is probably the most likely cause is just the valve stem seals are getting kind of hard and not doing a great job of cleaning off the valve stems. And typically what happens is you'll notice it'll burn the oil initially on startup, and basically as it sits in between starts, the oil will drain down through those stem seals and into the cylinders, or on top of the valves and into the cylinders, and then it just kind of burns that little bit of residual oil off when you start it up. But the smoke goes away after a while, right? Once it's run for a little while.
Right. Yeah, it's just I mean, it's like 10, 15 seconds, maybe not even that long.
Yeah. And that's it's pretty typical for higher mileage engines or older engines. For that, that's a pretty common occurrence for sure. There are maybe a couple things you could do. One I could think of would be like the compression restoration, and then the MOA service. That could be a potential help for that thing. But really, it's not necessarily hurting anything as long as there's adequate oil in the truck from that side too.
How many miles are on the truck again?
215.
On top of this,
it's over 200.
Yeah,
maybe 220.
On top of this $130, I want to throw in on top of everything a GDI oil service on one thing that you'll do for us. Okay, is we'll throw in this GDI oil. We'll tell you what that GDI oil change does. But then after we do it, probably, in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks down the road, call us back into the show and give us a report on what's doing different to the truck. But basically, we're going to put some stuff in the oil before we change it. And that's going to go in and clean so many things up in the bottom side of that engine, behind the rings and all that kind of stuff. And Dick, we have people calling us back after we do these oil changes on 30 and 40,000 mile vehicles to talk about how much more power the vehicle's got and how much more better fuel economy they're getting and stuff like that point. But it'd be real interesting to do one with this many miles on it, see what it does, and then call us back and tell us how the truck's performing. I think with a truck that many miles on it, I know I got difference of opinion where we're going to see a huge improvement or maybe just a little bit of an improvement or whatever. But it'd be a good test to find out.
And it may take a couple of different times of that service to really notice a huge difference with that many miles on it, for sure. But it's also my understanding that you guys don't really drive the truck a whole lot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so it does. It does sit quite a bit.
Between the 6 months, she doesn't even. She might get I don't know, a couple thousand miles on it.
And then, so that was going to be.
You're not even getting 5,000 miles on it
in 6 months. And then that was going to be my next question too. Is that when you guys are driving it, are you driving an adequate distance, or is it just kind of shorter trips and then shutting the thing off?
For her, it's the short trips. For me, we live in Wilmington, so I'm usually driving up to Wichita.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing drives and rides, it'll drive real nice and everything.
Sure.
But yeah, I wondered about those short, startup drive, 5 miles, barely get warmed up.
Sure, especially on something that does a lot of sitting from that side of say, because you're just not generating enough heat in the cooling and in the oil and everything to boil that condensation out of it when you're only driving it, starting it up and driving it 5 miles here, 5 miles there for sure. So
right,
but we'll get that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're doing the MOA. When we do get the oil changes. So, but it sounds like you've got something else that maybe we can try in there.
Yeah. Well, we'll get that GDI service added onto your package, and just so we know, I can make a note of it here. Do you want the $130 gift card, or do you want the package with the oil change, tire rotation, nitrous?
Oh yeah, we usually do the oil change.
The oil change. Okay. Well, I will. We'll get that.
I don't know what I'd do with a gift card. What would I do? Buy some racing tires or something?
Well, usually on any service. Yeah, so it's on anything. It would be on anything. So any credit towards any service that you were having performed or parts that you would want. So okay.
Sounds good. Whatever you think is the best for me.
Gotcha. Well, we'll get it.
You're Santa Claus, so I appreciate it.
We'll get it added onto your package as well as that GDI, and then like Phil said, once we get it done, probably have you drive the truck just a little bit more to get some miles on it and see what that GDI service will do for it. So, all right.
Well, I really appreciate you taking my call, and happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas.
Hey, you too.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Hey, Dick, thanks for the call, and we'll be interested in a report how things go with the truck. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
All right. 316-462-3673, $130 package or $130 gift card for anything inside Melham Ford you want to spend, whichever one for each and every caller. And anything in your car like Dick there, or if you got your favorite Ricky Bobby, what do we want to call that? Quote, statement, jab. Funny thing from Talladega Nights, you can get a price package for each and every caller. 316-462-3673. So anyway, Josh, and it's going to be interesting on Dick's truck there when it comes. We get that thing serviced up and see what it does, and of course, it might take a little bit longer to get some results out of it. Like you said, not driving it very much or anything else either.
And the other thing with that many miles on it too, I'd wondered if it would take a couple of different services to really help his situation.
Yeah, kind of go in more detail. What we're talking about there is basically this GDI oil services from BG Products, and basically, as your engine runs and the carbon builds inside the top of the pistons, there's carbon that builds on the bottom side of the rings. And what happens is that carbon builds up and the rings can't basically expand and seal to the cylinder. So you're getting blow by coming down through there and everything else. But we put this additive in the oil, run it for about 15 minutes, and then drain it. And that's going to bust up all that carbon and everything in there, and then come back and see all that stuff that comes out of that. I've seen some of them come out of that oil just blacker and black that comes out of those situations and stuff too. But then we top it off with some new oil and filter, and then we add in a can of MOA, motor oil additive from BG Products, and that's just a additive package that helps keep the, as your oil starts to break down somewhere around the 2,000 miles, the MOA is going to keep that additive package in there and not let it break down to, maybe 4,500, maybe even 5,000 miles before it starts to break down from that part. So a great service. And I'm going to tell you that if on my vehicles and stuff like that, of course, I have demos, so that doesn't make any difference. But if I had a vehicle, I would be doing a GDI service. I'm telling you, every time, just to keep it clean and fresh and all that kind of stuff too. And for that part,
we get into a lot of situations where customers may not be as observant to oil change stickers for sure, or just life gets in the way and you look up and, oh my gosh, I'm 1,200 miles over or 1,300 miles over or whatever. And definitely in those particular situations, I'm a huge advocate of that. And then at least every third service to do a GDI service to these vehicles. You are the advancement in the fuel systems has changed so much, and everybody to explain that process and where they're introducing the fuel, and then when they change where they're introducing the fuel, the cause and effect of how maintenance needed to change because of what they're doing there is huge. And that's where BG just does so much research and development just to know that what the chemical you're buying, they're making sure that you're getting your value out of it.
That's for sure. And like you said, Josh, when you look up and you're 1,000 over or 2,000 over, that is definitely a very, very time to throw that GDI service on top of that. When you've missed your oil change or got busy and just couldn't get in or whatever from that part. Very good example of when you need to do that GDI service whenever you have to go over. Hopefully you don't go over. I mean, I don't hope you all understand when you're lubricating your oil. That's the other thing we talked about up there in the warehouse, looking at some of the engines that they had, from the older days and everything else from that part. And that's one thing we talked about up there is how they would oil cylinders and how they oil the rods and oil the valves and cams and all that kind of stuff. And, it goes back then, those motors probably didn't live 10,000 miles where you're tearing them apart or doing something. Now today, and then back in my day, we were, overhauling motors at 80, 90,000 miles and grinding valves and stuff. And now if you pull one apart, if you have to pull one apart at 100,000, you can still see the cross hatches. There's hardly any wear in these cylinders anymore. And that's due to just the good products and the good oils that we have compared to the back in the day. But think about those. I mean, we looked at some of those push rods and some of the timing chains they had back in those days. It's crazy that those things even worked.
Yeah. And I mean, there's really two in my mind, intervals of failures when something is produced on a powertrain in this day and age. You have a very early onset of failure, which typically is going to be in that 5,000 mile window. So from new to about 5,000 miles, maybe a little bit more from that side of things. But if something breaks in that period, it's because it was assembled wrong. There was a tolerance or specification or something that was too tight. And then the other side of that is the higher mileage side. So you're talking, 100,000 miles plus on an engine failure or whatever. Now, if something gets to that point and it fails, it's because of maintenance almost every single time, because these things will go as long as you want them to go with good preventative maintenance.
It's very true.
And so you're going to know pretty early in something's life whether it was assembled incorrectly or there was a tolerance too tight or something wasn't quite right during assembly. But on the backside of that, it's just about maintenance almost every single time when we tear into something.
Yeah, I mean, the manufacturers have went in and have changed how their tolerances are and all that kind of specs and everything else to make these things live so much longer. But again, like you said, probably 95% of the time it's due to lack of maintenance. And everybody, when you take that dirty engine oil running through there, and I think of how I can explain this to you as a river. I mean, eventually the river keeps getting wider and wider with more water that runs through it. But then you start taking a corrosive oil through there and not lubricating, you're creating extra heat, you're creating extra wear, and those little fine particles are going off, and that's going through your whole engine and everything else too. You're just taking so much life out of your motor that it's crazy by not keeping that thing maintained and everything else too.
And what blows my mind is seeing the dollars and cents side of things is that, okay, this engine costs you know, in this day and age,
$10,000.
yeah, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 to put an engine in something. And I think of a $50 oil change. You know what I'm saying? Like it's and I think a lot of times now it's really not so much the expense of maintenance, it's just everybody slowing down and taking the time to do it.
Yeah.
You know, from that side, because really, you know, where we're priced, I just went through and we revamped our menu just to meet market value from that side. But you really cannot go down and buy a quality oil and filter for much more or for much less than what we do the complete works package for. You know, and so it's not a matter of it's just crazy markup. I think it's just more people understanding what the need is, but then also taking the time to achieve that. You know,
it's like I talked to a gentleman the other day talking about that, how he just likes to do his own oil change and stuff. And I said, I get it. But I said, think about having a certified technician look underneath your car, under the hood, underneath the side, and checking everything over to make sure everything's okay so you don't miss something. I said, when you're under the ground, jacking it up just a little bit, you're not being able to see the whole car. You're not being able to do all that stuff. I said, then the next thing is you got to dispose of that oil. What are you doing with that oil? From that part. So to me, it's just so much better to have a certified technician go through that car, look at it, see what's going on with it, and make sure it's okay for the next 5,000 miles of driving that you're going to go through. So anyway, morning, Jason Cox, and James Furman says needs to thank Ricardo at Quick Lane for getting his car back in and figuring out what's going on with it again. Okay, James, you're getting your can't remember what he's got, an Audi?
So is it a Volvo?
Maybe it's a Volvo. That's it. Yeah, Volvo. I knew it was something like that from that part. So
we had a situation or scenario here on Wednesday in the in the parts department, and you know that's one of the things that you know, always pushing for quality parts, but it was definitely worth sharing. So this started, I'm going to say probably for the customer was going to say Monday. So how we got involved in it, or how I got involved in it, is there's a company that out in Pratt that we do quite a bit of business with for the company and some employees out there. Well, someone in their HR department had taken their vehicle in to an independent garage in Pratt. I think it was on Monday. For service, it was just for an oil change, and then I think they rotated tires. And while it was there, they had noted a couple of different things. Well, she told them to go ahead and get them fixed. She was heading out of town for the holidays and needed the vehicle to be right on this trip. Well, one of the things happened to be a U-joint, and it was a 2003 or 4 F-150 that they were working on. And so this independent garage, in process of replacing the U-joint, typically there's technicians will have like a U-joint press, and basically it's a big C clamp that will push the U-joints in and out from that side of things. Well, this particular year, make, and model of the vehicle, the manufacturer on the factory U-joint, once it's in place, they'll actually stamp or make impressions in the U-joints in the casting of like the yoke. So basically it takes a piece of the metal and kind of bends it over or folds it over where that U-joint is. Well, when they went to take it out, they didn't deburr or remove those stampings. They just tried running it out with they just tried shoving it out. Well, what happened was it broke the yoke on this that's bolted to the differential from that side of things. And so this was, I think, Monday or Tuesday. I think Monday she took it in. Tuesday is when they broke it. And so she got a hold of me midday Tuesday because of the year, make, and model of it. The part they couldn't find this yoke anywhere.
That's what I can say. They can't find it, can they?
They couldn't find a yoke, and so we were able to locate one. Overnighted it from out in California for her. Had to have the truck for the holidays and stuff like that, and so got the yoke here. Got it to them to get it reassembled. And it was very early Wednesday morning, but about midday, then now the independent calls me and says, hey, we've got this yoke. I know it's the right part number of the yoke because it's got the same stamping or same casting number in it as the old one that's broke. But I can't get any U-joints to go in it or fit. They're either too short, not thick enough, not holding, things like that. And I said, well, what are you using? So he tells me, what he's using, the part numbers that he's getting, but then he's getting them from like a bumper to bumper autos over there. And so, knowing where he's at and everything like that, we look up what the specification is on the factory U joint. And then we also look up like AutoZone and O'Reilly's, knowing that they have those, where this guy's at, trying to help this customer out. And we're going through and looking at specifications and comparing specifications from the factory to the aftermarket and all that stuff. And, kind of identify what we think needs to go in there in an aftermarket part number. But what's funny is it doesn't even call for it on the aftermarket's webpage, the one that, is closest. The ones that it's calling for, there's 3 different joints that are available for this thing. But none of them really meet the specifications of what the factory one was. Yep. And so we give him that number and he gets it and it works all, but it's just a little bit, it's not tall enough. So it's not meeting where both snap rings are on both sides of it. And finally I was like, well, let's just get the factory one, the right one. So we look it up and we're able to obtain the factory U joint for it. So we get it in here and it actually comes in a kit. So this U joint that, it has there's like a cutting tool that would deburred the steaks. There's shims in it that if later on you had to go to an aftermarket U-joint that would have taken up the tolerances that he was fighting using the aftermarket one. But then also there's the right factory U-joint for it too.
Right.
And I guess where I'm headed with this is the value of the right part, especially in this situation. I mean, so he ended up making a drive back to Wichita that evening. And I said, hey, I want to make sure I'm invested in this deal at this point, but I was like, we got to make sure this lady gets on the road.
Yeah.
And so it was 9:30 or 10 o'clock Wednesday night. He texted me, hey man, thanks for the help. Everything's great. She's up and going and on the road now. But I just think, in my mind of all the extra effort and spinning the wheels and everything using aftermarket stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that when you do that, from an aftermarket or a manufacturer standpoint, if I can make one
U-joint
SKU number and fit 5 different things and it takes up less shelf space, why not?
Yep. Well, Josh, I'm going to flip back to that museum. Yeah, last night up at Speedway. There's a wall that is probably, I'm going to guess it to be 50 feet long. And it is nothing but aftermarket accessories to put on a Model A. I mean, just thousands of these things that, and that's where the aftermarket world came into play. The Model A, I can't keep the Models A, Model T, I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, the car was very basic. And then you went and you bought all these aftermarket parts to put on. They even had a display of everything on this display was an aftermarket part to put on there. And so as we roll through the years, when I was working for my dad and then part-time, I went out and I'd work at Halstead Auto Supply for Don Davison. And that was when the aftermarket world to me sometimes was really, most of the time, the aftermarket world had a better part than the manufacturer did. It's just how it was. But now as these cars have evolved the way they are, it's flipped 180 degrees again to where the manufacturer is the best part to have to put back on your car because the specifications making the one part fit the one truck and not 5 parts fitting one truck and everything else too. But it is, that wall up there was, I bet it had to be 50 feet long of all the different accessories. Yeah. It was from turn signals to foot pedals to steering wheel. Everything you might imagine to put on one of those. And that's what they said. Greg said, back then it was just a very generic car. Then you just bought all these accessories to make it your own. And then everybody started going. That car is one wall over there of probably, I would say 12 different types of water pumps you could buy to put on the car.
Which is, you think about it, it's crazy.
The thing about then, those cars overheated, all that kind of thing. and stuff like that too. So it's crazy how this industry has evolved from the horse and buggies to the Model A, Model Ts, and moved through and now what we're driving today from that part. But like I said, when I got out of high school, went to Votech school, and I went to work at Long MacArthur and worked there for a little bit, and went to the aftermarket world and worked for Bill Strucken Auto. I knew quickly that I need to get back into a dealership, and that was in the mid '80s. I knew that to evolve and do this as a career that I wanted to do, I had to get back into a dealership very quickly. So I did, and the aftermarket world, I feel for those guys. I'm gonna tell you a lot. So anyway, hey, we got a caller coming through on the phone. Anyway, we got a few minutes left on the show. Your favorite Ricky Bobby comment, quote, statement, whatever. Josh has got them all memorized. He knows. I don't.
Yeah, I do not have them.
Liar. No. See, now you're lying again, Josh.
I know some of them. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, and it's a $130 prize package or $130 gift card to use anything you want inside Mel Hambelton Ford, everywhere you want. We're going to get Jared on the line here real quick and see. I wonder what Jared this is.
That's what I was wondering too. Well,
going to be interesting here in just a minute, maybe from that part. So here we go. We'll get Jared patched through, and Jared, you're live under the hood. Go ahead.
How's it going?
That's what I thought it was.
Sorry, must got a bad connection.
It's gonna get worse, I'm guessing too.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It could real quickly.
Hey, I'm actually calling. I agree with you guys.
Well, there you go.
Whoa.
I got to check the temperature of a certain destination real quick.
This BG stuff. I got a story. It saved a guy.
Really?
He's running a John Deere silage chopper. They have a 19-liter Cummins in them, and it was slobbering and missing and running rough. And Deere sold him a set of injectors, and it's a 19-liter Cummins, and the injectors were like $6,000 a piece for it.
Holy
smokes!
6
months later, it starts doing it again, and the guy says, "Try some of this BG injector cleaner and fuel conditioner."
Yep.
And it cleaned them up, and it runs perfect. He just started doing it every tank full.
Yeah.
And it cleaned it up. And he's wondering if that would have saved him the $36K to begin with.
I think I'd have been doing a lot of investigating if I spent $36,000 on a set of injectors, number one, to prove that's what it was.
Yeah,
but...
he just takes it in and trusts them, and that's how it goes. You know how dealerships are.
Yeah, really. No, I would tell you.
Yeah, he was pretty disappointed in the first deal and really happy with the second deal. But I really never hear you mention the diesel fuel stuff much. But this BG stuff is real.
Yeah, it is. And, that's right. We don't talk much about the diesel stuff either, but they do got a great line of products for the diesels and stuff like that too. But, okay, so let's go back. That's a 19-liter Cummins. How big a motor is that? That's got to be.
Oh, they're like 1,150 cubic inch or something.
Yeah.
They're in the 800 horsepower range or something like that.
Wow. So yeah, it's I was kind of curious, and then too, how long after you put the stuff in it, did it take to clean it up and run it through, like a couple tanks or one tank?
Well, that day it starts cleaning up, but he runs it, for 10 hours a day. They run wide open all day. And
really?
He says you could by the end of the first day, you could tell he'd way over treated it, to begin with.
Sound like somebody I know.
Never heard of anybody do that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he probably had.
It's good.
Yeah, he probably had to really to get it going. It's about how Pat, cleaned it up or whatever, how dirty it was from that part too. So that's the next thing is those things go off an hour. So I wonder how many hours is on it.
Yeah, I can't tell you.
Don't know.
I don't know that, but I know he was really happy, and then he got disappointed in the first deal.
God, yeah. I tell you, I'd have to have some good diagnosis going.
The injectors are in that. The injectors in that thing are like as big as your arm from your elbow to your wrist or something in it.
Yeah. So what is this thing again?
Silage cutter.
Oh, a silage cutter.
John Deere silage. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, when wide open, I wonder how many RPM that is. Probably 2,500, 3,000 RPM, probably.
Yeah, probably something like that. But they're just working their hind end off all day.
Yep.
Oh, he'll go through like 3 or 350 gallons of diesel a day if they're working it. So
he's working it. Yeah, that's true. If he's going through that much fuel in a day,
yeah.
that is very true. So,
But
yeah, so good.
but that's all I had. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Hopefully he's still running
don't
some of that.
undersell the beach.
Yeah, don't ever undersell it. I hope he's running some, still running some of that through there to keep it clean and keep it, maintained and not letting it get behind itself again.
If it saved him that much money, he's
ever
probably
since
bought
then, he put
stock
the
in
cord-
BG, if I had to guess.
He puts a quart of the DFC or whatever it is
Yep.
now every tank.
DFC plus. Yep.
Yeah, every tank. That's cool. It's very good. So,
Yeah.
well, some good proof in the
Yeah.
pudding that the BG does have some good products out there. Yeah, Josh, we need to probably elaborate some more, and it would be good to bring one of the BG guys in to talk more, just talk about the diesel stuff, because
Yep.
the stuff we're going, especially with the DEF filters and all that stuff, keeping them clean. Because the more you keep them clean, the less DEF problem you're going to have too.
I'm guessing you have a story about an aftermarket part too that bit you in the ass. We'll save that for another day.
Just a little chuckle out of that. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
But I thought I'd give you one. I don't always agree with you. Actually, seldom do I agree with you.
Hey, so how about your favorite Ricky Bobby quote from Talladega Nights?
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody, we ain't even got. That's a new release in the theaters.
New release.
I'm waiting for the VHS to come out.
You're too funny, Jared. For those you don't know, the three
That's
of us.
all I got for you.
For those you listening, the three of us used to work together over in Hutch. And Mr. Shivers decided to break it off and go off in his own direction, which I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing.
I got my fill of management.
All right, Jared, have a great weekend, buddy.
Thank you.
Catch
Thanks,
you
man.
later.
Okay, just a few minutes left on the show. Got a couple questions here real quick. Differential fluid on F-150, how often should it have it changed out?
So, there's and again, that's where going back to that multi-point inspection and value in that, it just varies so much between how you use the vehicle. Typically, we see differential fluid to be changed out around the 45,000 mile mark between, rear differentials, front differentials, and then transfer case both. But, pulling a sample of that fluid and really seeing what it looks like is
There you go.
the defining factor. But typically around 45,000 miles. Not only that, when we're doing that service, we're taking the factory fluid out of it, but then we're replacing it with a synthetic, again, BG differential fluid. And then there's an additive package that goes along with that as well, again, to extend the life of that thing for sure. But if you're, using it for towing and if
Changes
you're
it off in different.
if you're doing more in-town driving, that there's more turns, because then the bearings turn at different rates and things like that versus in town. The other thing that's a huge factor on differentials is boats. If you're pulling boats and you're backing boats in and out of the water all the time,
Yep.
then you're susceptible to moisture getting into those differentials and things like that. So a lot of different variables that that would affect that or change that. But yeah, typically around 45,000 miles is what we see. So.
Okay, then did the aftermarket wall, and we're talking about the aftermarket wall up at Speedway at the museum, kit have to jack up the Model A with a 32-inch rims and squat it? Well, let me tell you, those rims are bigger than 32 inches on some of those cars. Yeah. And James, I'm not kidding.
Some wood rims too.
There was wood. There was wood tires. There was a wood frame.
Really?
Yes, on one we looked at too. But it was still blew me away how many different things you could put on your Model A, Model T, which I don't know which one it was or whatever from that part. I get them all mixed up from that part too. But yeah, it's they even had a deal. It was lime green and went around the side of the wheel, and we thought it was to help inflate the tire. But no, that was put it when it went in the snow. Had a big old metal thing that went around it from that part. They even had these other ones that had little spikes that actually come around and worked on it. But yeah, that one Model A they had sitting there, the whole thing was nothing but aftermarket parts. The whole thing. And it made the whole complete car. I mean, that's how much you could do to one of those cars back in the day and spend the money on it. So you think about what we're spending on accessories today. So think that they started the accessory wall way back in the teens and 20s. From that part to accessorize and make your Model A, Model T exactly how you'd like it yourself. So,
Well, and I think, you know, on aftermarket components on today is especially when you get into the electronic side of these things, or in, you know, the case we were talking about diesels and guys wanting to put, you know, delete the diesel exhaust filters and things like that. And man, if the manufacturer could alter it a little bit one way or the other and gain, you know, you hear all these stories of guys saying that they get so much more horsepower or torque or fuel range, you know, miles per gallon. I've heard all sorts of stories. Well, I deleted that and got, you know, 20 more miles to gallon. If the manufacturers could do that, they would, you know, especially on the horsepower and torque. Yeah, it will do that. It'll increase the torque and horsepower, but longevity, what's that look like? You may be able to do it for a short period of time and have fun with it, but man, does it get expensive quick when you start having to put in, you know, hard parts or engines. You're just finding the next weakest link at that point.
Yep.
You know,
exactly. Anyway, that's what we'll do next time. We'll try to maybe get some BG guys in here and talk about the diesel stuff and everything that goes on with that, and gives everybody educate some more things on that. But a good part there from Jared, and a factual thing of spending $36,000 on a set of injectors, or spend a few $100s on some fuel additive to clean it up and make it run correct. Well, I'd be screaming at somebody for 36 grand. I can tell you that. From that standpoint. Hey, anyway, we're running out of time, and you know, Josh, again, we didn't do a very good job. But of course, we did do a good job talking about BG products and all the great things they do for us. Big Corner Creative for all your advertising needs. Yeah, that's our advertising firm right down here. Just a little past Mays and Kellogg, and Jesse and his gang have a great advertising firm down there that do everything you can imagine to advertise your company, from web page designs, vehicle wraps, window wraps, anything to advertise your company. As those guys say down there at Big Corner Creative, just Google us. And of course, Go To Rent. I hope you've got your reservation with Stan inside here at Mel Hambelton Ford for your rental vehicle. Our fleet isn't as big as it usually is, so I hope you've made your reservation. If you need something bigger to get to Grandma's house for the holidays and stuff like that too, and we're trying to grow that fleet each and every day. But as everybody knows, these inventory levels are they're coming back, but they're not as fast as I'd like to see them coming back, and everything else, that part too. So hopefully you got your rental reservation if you need one to get to Grandma's house for the holidays. So anyway, everybody have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.